When is my next?
My fellow members.
I'd like to call the January 18th, 2011 meeting of the Buncombe County Commission to order. And as always, we'll begin with Pledge of Allegiance, if you'll join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Tonight we'll have Commissioner Jones do the invocation.
Thank you, Chairman. If you would pause with me for a moment of prayer. Let us pray. Dear Lord of justice and peace, we come before you tonight on the heels of a weekend that celebrated one of your prophets, Martin Luther King. With his witness in mind, our community here in Buncombe County gathered to reflect, march, and serve, and we give you thanks for Martin Luther King's legacy of words and deeds. And we ask that you help us keep his vision alive as the year goes forward, knowing that his vision was focused on your kingdom. Dear Lord, who knows all things, it's a new year, and in this year there is much unknown. We know in this year there will be challenges, joys, and disappointments. Yet we know we will see babies born, friends die, young people graduate, and we at this desk and in all seats of government will have difficult decisions. Help all of us in the role of public service approach these decisions with wisdom and thoughtfulness and in a spirit of grace. Keep us ever mindful of the trust we are given, and let us not forget the impacts on the least of these. O healer of brokenness, we turn to you shaken by the violence in our world. We ask you to be with those mourning and stricken in Tucson. We ask for your presence as this community deals with the tragedy. We give thanks for all your miracles in the midst of chaos and loss. Help us find courage and direction as we all deal with the repercussions of it all. What is certain is your enduring presence through it all. We ask for your direction in the midst of struggle and unknown. Your comfort and love give us strength and hope for whatever unfolds. It is in the name of the enduring Holy of Holies that we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Commissioner. The agenda has been, in pre-session, we talked about pulling up the resolution on the Asheville Regional Housing Consortium for home funds, and so we will add that to our regular agenda, and we will also take public comment on the new business of the AB Tech request. Other than those changes, is there a motion to adopt the agenda
So
as
moved.
printed?
Second.
It's been a motion by Vice Chair Stanley, a second by Commissioner Peterson. Is there any discussion of that motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. We will follow the revised agenda. In accordance with the ethics code adopted by this board, it's the duty of every commissioner to avoid both the appearance and actual conflicts of interest. Does any board member know of any actual or apparent conflict of interest with any matter coming before the board?
No, sir.
Okay, we will proceed. First off, we will go with good news. Linda Blue with the Master Gardener Program and Cooperative Extension. Ms. Blue?
Well, good afternoon.
Hey, Linda.
Afternoon.
Am I operating here okay? Everybody hear me?
Did good.
Okay. Judy can put my slides up for me, and we'll see if I can figure out how to use the clicker here. It's nice to be back with you again. I have been here in years past to tell you about some of the accomplishment of our wonderful Master Gardener volunteer group here in Buncombe County. Last year we had about 115 active volunteers who contributed more than 8,000 volunteer hours to Buncombe County. Today, I, though, in particular want to single out a particular project which I think is rather unique. I'm not aware of any other Master Gardener volunteer groups in North Carolina that are doing a program like this. We're all aware of concerns these days for the health of our children. And not all of our children are as fortunate as this 4-H family of kids who obviously are rather proud of being able to grow their own vegetable garden. Today's issues of childhood obesity, many children that don't really even know what vegetables are, much less where they come from, not getting much outdoor activity, and of course these are our future environmentalists and children who don't learn to spend time outdoors and dig in the dirt, and the sort of a new term is nature deficit disorder. And our Master Gardener volunteers, of course, being a group of avid gardeners, we're looking for ways to assist with schools being able to have and incorporate more school gardens into their programs. And honestly, I don't have enough volunteers willing and able to work directly hands-on with all the schools that would like to have us to come and help work with school gardens. So one way that our volunteer group came up with to help support gardening in our school systems was by developing this program to offer what they have really called mini grants to the schools to be able to put some monetary assistance to schools in Buncombe County to be able to start school gardens or to further expand and continue their gardens. The funding is intended for hands-on activities where the children are directly involved in the gardens and support material costs. It's not for grounds beautification or for hiring assistance for the gardens and so forth. With each of these grants that has been given to some of the schools also comes one or more Master Gardener volunteers who is the direct contact with the school teacher to be available to offer assistance and guidance with the gardening activities. The way we have developed to go about doing this is to have specific fundraiser activities to raise the funds, and these have been in particular our garden tours. The educational garden tours that we did in 2007 and in 2009 is where the funding has come from. So we do the tours every other year, so that means we have to spread the money out over 2 school years. The information, I gave you a little folded leaflet that is a flyer that goes out to the schools in the spring, to the school teachers. Their applications are due at the end of the school year in June. The committee gets together during the summer and selects the recipients, and then presentations and checks are delivered in September. The teachers do keep their receipts and do turn in a report at the end of the school year reporting back on how the gardens were used and what the money was spent for and so forth. I also gave you a written summary of the program over the last few years. Since we started this program 4 years ago in the 2007-8 school years, there have been 18 schools in Buncombe County that have received funding of almost $7,000 over that time, and it's not been strictly elementary schools. It's even ranged up to high school and the early college program, and it's not restricted just even to like the public schools, but in any school system in the county, application would be accepted and considered. We figure that there's probably 250, 275 school teachers that have used the gardens in one method or another to incorporate into their lesson plans and their school activities, and about 4,000 students that have been involved. The sheet of paper that I gave you broke down more specifically, which schools have received funding and which, and in what amounts. The sustaining grants that you see, listed on that sheet, last year, possibly because so many school teachers were a little in limbo as to whether they would even have jobs the following year, we only had like 3 applications. So since they had a little extra money, they offered sustaining grants to the schools who had received funding the previous year if they still needed some support to keep their garden programs going so that the gardens didn't fall by the wayside for lack of money for seeds and plants and soil conditioners and trowels and all those other things that kids need for their gardens. So, and just one final plug, since our garden tours are the fundraiser for this program, I want to plug our next garden tour that will be this June 25th on a Saturday so that we can keep this wonderful program going. Any questions?
I was on your tour 2 years, I guess it was 2009, and it really is. I didn't make it to all of them because you get kind of into one, and it takes a lot of time. It's because it's so beautiful. Actually, people put so much time into it. So it's a great way for folks that are interested in gardening to understand what's going on in their own community too. So.
Well, it is, and the initial purpose of the garden tour is an educational activity. There's lots of educational aspects going on in every garden, and the fact that we're able to, between ticket sales and sponsorship, to at the same time raise enough money to be able to extend this second educational aspect, if you will, of the tour makes it sort of a double duty
It's really
activity.
sweet. It's
So.
really sweet.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn.
Thank you.
What a wonderful program. Doing a lot with very little money. Thank you. We have moved up a matter from consent. The home grant is, I'd like to take that up now if we could. And I see Donna and Cindy here, and also Daryl Hart. If y'all could come up and tell us about it. Go ahead, Donna.
Hi. The resolution that is before you is authorizing us to submit an application for the 2011 Asheville Regional Home Funds. The county advertised for applications to be submitted to staff, and we received those applications. We received 5, and we've recommended funding for 4. We've recommended funding for mountain housing down payment assistance, single family or scattered site, single family home ownership, down payment assistance, and the Eagle Market Street project. And we have, and also Eblin, the tenant-based rental assistance. I have representatives from all of those organizations here and could answer any of your questions concerning any of those.
Since I've embarrassed Mr. Hart during the pre-session, let me go ahead and, you here on the Eagle Street one? Yes, sir. Okay, if we could get you and Cindy to come up and maybe talk about that.
Thank you.
This is Cindy Weeks, thank you, ma'am, with Mountain Housing Authority.
What did you have a specific question?
If you just tell us what the grant is about, what the money will be spent for, and what the plan is.
Great. Well, as you all are familiar, Mountain Housing, one of our programs is to build affordable rental housing, and much like the Larchmont, only in a different location, is Eagle Marketplace. What's a little different about this one is we are in 50-50 partnership with Eagle Market Street Development Corporation. Mr. Hart is the president, and Stephanie Twitty, their CEO, is here tonight as well. And we were contacted by the Eagle Market Street Development Corporation about a year ago to consider partnering with them on this project. They own quite a bit of property in the block that's wrapped by Eagle Street, South Market Street, Sycamore Street, and Wilson Alley, which is right down Eagle Street from Limones, and you all are familiar with the Del Cardo building on the corner there. And we're also purchasing one other property in that block to give us about 4/10 of an acre for the development. So what we'll be doing is building 70 units of rental housing, affordable rental housing, just like our regular program. But as part of that, we're going to be restoring 2 historic properties, the Dr. Collette building, which is the long, low building on Eagle Street, which was the location of an African-American female dentist, Dr. Collette, many years ago, and the Del Cardo building on the corner. The Dr. Collette building will become part of the affordable housing complex. That's where all of the community space that will be used both by the residents and by the community will be located. And the Del Cardo building will become part of Eagle Market Street Development Corporation for their minority business training activities, other community activities. And we're really excited about that part of it. Of course, we're excited about the affordable housing, but as you all know, that location, the YMI, is across the street, the other historic African-American institution. So the Del Cardo, when it's restored, will reflect back and forth across the street and be a really nice plan for the neighborhood. The money we're asking you to support tonight is $125,000 of a total home request we're going to make to the city and the county of $400,000. So the balance of that we'll be requesting from the city. And you all have already very generously agreed to loan us $300,000 out of your Housing Services Fund. You did that in October, and we're very grateful for that. And the city will also, as we move forward on this, the city will be providing $650,000 of Section 108 funds, which they've had in reserve for quite a number of years, waiting for the right project to come along, and we think this is the right one. We're really excited because we have I don't know if you all had a chance to review your application materials, but we have a beautiful building design. We're going to be actually building a 7-story building behind the historic buildings. And so we have a beautiful design that's been priced out. We think that our budget is going to work, unlike past budgets. And we're also asking the city for about $300,000 in housing trust funds. So the total amount that will come from the city on this project will be about $1.2 million, and from the county, the total amount will be $425,000. So we're really anxious to move ahead and get started. I'm trying to think, there was one other thing I wanted to tell you. Oh, the total development costs are $11.3 million, and like I said, we think that we're within budget on that. We've had a cost estimator look at this, and the market that we're attempting to serve, we had a preliminary market study done, and the units as we plan them at the sizes, their efficiencies, 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms, mostly 1-bedroom units and 2-bedroom units. From our market study, it shows that we'll only be capturing about 5% of the total market need. There's about 1,500 units needed in that market group. So they'll lease up fast, just like the Glenrock. We leased up in 60 days. And so it's a solid business plan. And I want to invite Mr. Hart to make a few comments as well. Thank you. And I'll be here for any other questions.
Just briefly, just want to thank you all for supporting us in this effort. It's always good to have the right partner to make sure we have a successful redevelopment. And I think the right partner is Mountain Housing. We appreciate what Cindy has done for us. And, of course, Stephanie Twitty is our executive director, and she has been very helpful to make this project come to fruition. And we just appreciate all the help and support that you have given us, and I'm sure you'll continue to do that because everyone will be very excited about this new project once we're able to get it completed. And I think it will happen this time, and I'm sure you all feel the same way because you have voiced that opinion. If Stephanie would like to have a couple of words, right quick, because I know they're busy.
Just very quickly, my thank you as well to the county and to the county commissioners for their support in this. As Mr. Hart said, I do think that this time it's the right team. And with that, we have a product coming that I think everybody will be pleased with. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, there's nothing this board would like to see more than have Eagle Street fixed the way it restored to its glory, because it's been long overdue. And if this is the right partner, we're gonna ride all the way with you on it, because this is the right thing. It's right downtown. It's affordable rental, and it's restoring a beautiful area that has not been restored in a while. And it means a lot to the community, all of the community. So does anybody have any questions?
I move approval.
And a motion by Commissioner Peterson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Chair Stanley. Any further questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carries 5-0. Thank y'all for being here. And I would like to recognize Sheriff Duncan behind the pole there. Good to see you, sir. Always good to have our sheriff here. The next order of business is under new business. I'll recognize Dr. Hank Dunn with AB Tech to talk about the resolution requesting that we put on the ballot for this year a vote of the sales tax, 1/4 cent, that would go toward some renovations and some building construction at AB Tech. Dr. Dunn?
Thank you. Thank you for letting us come and talk to you again. AB Tech has been around for 50 years. It has provided the help, the need, the hopes that the community has needed. The community has risen to the occasion on multiple occasions from its start back in 1959. We are at that point again where we're coming to the community saying we want to be a strong community college. We think we are a great community college. A great community college right now also needs help from the community in that we have infrastructure needs. Those needs are new construction for health and workforce development programs, which are many, and also for the renovation and upkeep of our buildings. Several of our buildings are very old, and elder buildings need maintenance. And so we really come to you today asking for permission to go to the citizens to sort of prove our worth. We believe that we are an economic engine, but we always also think we're an investment in the community. And we think that the community will see that and understand that a strong community college with a strong infrastructure is important to Western North Carolina. And so we respectfully request the ability to approach the public and ask for their support. Can I answer any questions?
Tell us exactly what you'll use the money for if it's approved.
Sure, absolutely. We have outlined several what we call critical areas of need. Those areas of need include a new health sciences building and workforce building that is critical for us as we expand our needs. We have the ability to add new programs if we had new space. We do not have new space in our programs. And there are several programs we'd like to add, including one pharmacy tech. Today, one of the papers referred to it as FARM, F-A-R-M, but it's not really F-A-R-M tech, it's pharmacy tech. So a lot of health programs could be added. We also have buildings on campus. We have one of our buildings called Elm Building. It's been around for a while. We had somebody come in the fall and give us an estimate to repair that building. It has great HVAC needs and leaking needs and just a variety of issues. That building, to repair it alone, would be about $8 million. I think 2.3 of that would be just for the HVAC replacement. We also have, through the generosity of some of our local folks, Mission and AB Tech partnered last year to create some new parking lots that actually saved us probably millions of dollars in construction costs. But those parking lots are, several of them are paved, but many of them are not. And so they're getting them up to grade, and we are creating parking spaces that are now going to be grassy parking or at some point maybe gravel parking. These funds would be used for that. These funds would not be used to construct new roads into areas around AB Tech. This is really for the facilities on our campus, including our own sidewalks and entryways, which also need repair and upkeep at that point. We also have great needs at our Inca campus site. Through the generosity of several people, we obtained those buildings several years ago, but those buildings, including the Haynes Tower and the incubator, do need help. The incubator is an important resource for us. We are establishing ourselves as a premier incubator site. That premier incubator site needs help in the infrastructure as well. We have some land and facilities there, but inside that building, we actually have the ability to create more incubation space if we had the money to renovate. So the majority of this is our what we call critical needs, and there's some long-term planning. But we felt like we just needed to come with the critical needs at the moment. And an annual cash flow would let us do those things that we think are important to grow Western North Carolina.
How far along are you in the? You've got a couple of purchases of adjoining property that would certainly be beneficial in the long term.
Absolutely.
How far along are you in that process?
Just in the discussion process. We have those folks. We know the Mayheck building is on 193 Victoria Road. Is in the process of being vacated as they build their new facility. We would love to have that and to have a point where we could actually purchase that property. And on the other end of the campus are a couple pieces of property. One is a nursing home, and then there's a piece of land, 3 acres around it. They're two separate pieces of property. It would be wonderful at one point to obtain that to kind of complete the campus. There's a couple other pieces of property in the middle of the campus with medical arts buildings. One day, should they become available, that would be a way to also expand what we're doing there. We feel like one of the things that's got a lot of attention is our health sciences building. That building would be built where the Pines Madonna buildings are right now. Those buildings are very old. They've served a great purpose, but those buildings would be better used if we were to actually replace them with a health workforce science building, health sciences building, and a workforce development site, and then Pines Madonna becomes part of that new workforce area. It would also be close to the Mission Hospital. We were talking with them constantly. We provide a lot of nurses, a lot of health programs, work in conjunction with them. Being at that end of campus would be beneficial for us both at that same time.
Dr. Dunn, will you speak to numbers of students that have been added at AB Tech in the past couple of years,
Sure.
and programs that you see need to be added?
We are absolutely growing. This last year we grew at about 16%. We're probably not going to grow at that rate this year. We're probably between 6 and 8%. We do have more than 8,000 students that attended there for what we call curriculum students, which are students going for a degree or certificate. There are probably about 18,000 more that come for non-credit. For all those businesses out there that are looking for help, we do a great deal of customized training where either you can come to us and get training or small business will go to you, and those are those 18,000 students. We anticipate that to continue. We believe, or I think I kind of brought with me this philosophy that the only way, the only thing that needs to happen to be a great community college, find the local need and meet it. There is great local need now for business construction. We need to help Western North Carolina develop its business community, and we are prepared to do that, and we have been doing that. Just last week, we established a new 501c3 foundation, AB Tech Entrepreneurial Development. Its sole goal is to develop businesses either on campus or off campus. We're in the economic development business with you, and we just need help to do that.
That was going to be my next question. If you would, and you've already started this conversation, speak a little bit about your thrust as far as economic development in Buncombe County.
Absolutely. Again, we feel like
how AB Tech ties into.
We feel like we've been wonderful educators and trainers, and we will continue to do that. We have a great, wonderful, strong transfer program. Many of our students want to go in and get a four-year education. They can do that. But we also have a thrust toward economic development. This new 501c3 is one of those things that we're doing to do that. We have a big, hairy, audacious goal, if you're a Jim Collins fan, that says we want to help be partly responsible or responsible for the development of 1,000 new businesses, not new jobs, in the next 10 years. And so AB Tech is going to focus on education and training and also business development. We think there's a great need for that. There are a lot of folks out there who want to start a business, not quite sure how to do it. We will be an economic development engine for the county.
Will you speak to the average student who goes to AB Tech?
Sure. You know, our average student is somebody who's trying to change their life. It's somebody who average age is about 27, 28 years old. Many of our students are single parents going to school trying to change their life. They work 1 or 2 or 3 jobs. They have 1, 2, or 3 children. They are trying to juggle their life from the time they get up in the morning to the time they go to sleep at night. The college is there to be a vehicle for them to change their life, whether it is in the way we offer our classes, the way we offer support mechanisms, or anything in between. Our goal is to work with the students who are there. We have a lot of traditional students. We have a student who's 18, 19, 20, 21, but the vast majority are non-traditional students who are seeking to change their life. Many of our students have gone out into the world, didn't think they need a higher education degree or certificate, find out after a few years, you know what, you can't make as good a living, or I'm the first to go when there's a downsize, and having an education would be beneficial. So many of our students are coming back. We are up again this semester. I would say we started spring last week, but we actually kind of, with the ice, kind of a slow start. But we will be up about 8% this term. We will have more than 8,000 students attend this year. And we believe the same thing will happen next year as the economy comes back to that very slow, instead of this V-shaped curve coming back. We'll need to be there to train folks to take those new jobs and want to be there to help them create new jobs.
I think Mark Barrett did a good job in the last week or so with an article about the value of the community college education and the 2-year degree. And of course, from an economic, and I love that article because from an economic development standpoint, and that's what we've all been working on is jobs and more jobs. Is that we're trying to find ways to make sure we have a trained workforce, so that when we do have people who are interested in coming to Western North Carolina, that we can roll those folk out and help attract them to be here. We've done some of that in the last couple of months.
Absolutely.
We need to do a whole lot more of it.
And AB Tech needs to be there as that partner. We need to be there standing in the breach with
you.
you.
To be the leader in all of that, and they need to have the facilities to be able to train that workforce.
We'll give an example with our health building. When you come, we typically, and this is good and bad, when you come to visit us, we show you our best. We're the typical, come to our house and we'll show you the best room in the house. So we bring you to Ferniehurst and to Magnolia Buildings, which look spectacular. I don't take you to Pines Madonna. I don't take you to the rhododendron building that has issues. But if you come, we can show you that we have great needs. Our health building right now occupies, some of our programs have to share the same room. So I have to move you out so that I can move the new program in the next hour. Well, that's okay, but that's not the best way to do it. And we feel like a new building, especially the health building, would let us grow our health programs to a greater degree. One of the things that we need, in fact, I just got through talking with Ron Paulus yesterday at Mission Hospital. We're both interested in establishing some sort of simulation clinic, a place where students can go and get a simulated experience about everything that would happen in a clinic environment. And we want to work on that. This building would help us construct that sim clinic as well. Yes, sir.
Do we know what how much this will add to the average taxpayer in Buncombe County if they vote this in? Have we calculated that yet?
I haven't, sir. I don't know if somebody else has, but we haven't calculated that.
Numbers, people. Pardon?
What was your question?
The question was, a quarter cent would do what to say the average taxpayer? Can you get a feel on that without immediately?
That's just
I want you, if you go up, Jim, if you get, so I can hear you.
David, come on. Yeah, David Wyatt, chair of our board as well.
See, David's an old ex-principal like one or two in the room, and he knows everything's going on.
Yeah. But, the general sales tax doesn't cover everything. You don't have to pay it when you go to the grocery store. That food tax is separate tax. You don't pay it on your mortgage. You don't pay it on your gasoline. So really, it doesn't end up to be a great deal. If my figures are right, if you were spending $1,000 a month on general sales tax, where you have to pay general sales tax, that's $2.50. That's not much. That's 10 cents a day.
That's what I want you to say.
And how much will this generate? Do we know?
I think based on what we've talked about, Wanda and I, this would be about a current low depressed economic condition, about $6 or $7 million a year is approximately it. Let me also throw something out, and I hate to do it because I didn't personally verify it, but what I understand to be true is that sales tax, about 30% of that revenue is created by the visitors who come to our city and our county. So approximately a third of this would be funded by people who come to visit us. We're keeping a strong community college with not only our citizenry, but the people who come here and use our services as well.
And do we know the cost of this election?
We did get that information and share it with Dr. Dunn. I believe it's an additional $80,000 that would have to be raised to cover the cost to expand it into the unincorporated area. It's a municipal election.
And would that be?
We'd be more than willing to
you'd
take
be
on that
covered
burden to find those funds.
Okay.
Can't
All right.
beat that.
Any other questions for Dr. Dunn before we take public comment?
And I'm not sure if this is a Dr. Dunn question or if this is a Dr. Green question, but in terms of, because this is the first time we've kind of rolled through what would this local option look like, but I guess my first question is, because ultimately it's the people that will be, you need
Deciding.
the campaign and, goes to the polls and decided. We're just, deciding tonight whether to put it on the ballot. So that said, are there any parameters, like, for example, the letter request, that this be an exclusive, AB Tech, so that AB Tech be the sole recipient of that, and Commissioner Vice Chair Stanley I think a couple of weeks ago, also, mentioned the issue of sunsetting. So I guess my question has to do with the mechanics of the language on the ballot, and when does that get developed, and does this body decide that tonight in terms of, if the sunset, or is that in the future, or?
I think two things. One is, if we're going to sunset it, we need to do a projection on exactly the cost of the projects and be able to say the timing on when that debt is issued and for how long. So whether it would sunset 20, 25 years from now, we would need a projection on the cost of the projects. And as far as approving the language, to be very candid with you, Michael might, he's raising his hand. He might know that.
I got that one. The language on the resolution, as you saw in your packet, is set forth in the general statute. So it's that simple wording. It's an advisory opinion from the voters to the commissioners. The commissioners are not obligated, but may follow through with the recommendation to approve. So it still comes back here.
When the language is
If
ultimately defined.
If the taxpayers approve this advisory referendum, then this board may pass the quarter-cent sales tax.
I see.
Well, can I ask about that? Mine, the resolution that I have just says local sales and use tax at the rate of 1/4 for or against. Where's the detail? Because sometimes these referendums rise or fall on the details of how it's described, what it's going to be used for.
It is in the whereas.
Well, the general statute here in question is 105-537. It says that if a majority of those voting in referendum held pursuant to this article vote to levy the tax, the commissioners may, by resolution and 10 days' notice, levy the local tax. So I guess by that resolution and levying the local tax, you could put the parameters and peg where the funds would have to go on that quarter-cent.
But I hear your question, and I do think it has to be, the wording has to be structured very well to go on the ballot. We'll have to work with the Trina Parker in elections to see what our number of words are, how much space it can occupy on the ballot. So we'll have to work through that, and it will have to be wordsmithed very, very carefully. I hear you saying you'd like to see that before we actually are ready to turn it over to elections.
Well, if we approve this, we definitely want to give it its best chance, and I know everybody here does.
We would want the same thing. We don't want folks going and thinking there's some loosey-goosiness to this. We want them to know what we wanted to use it for, and that there's a defined and definite end to it, so that we have the best chance of passing this. We do think we have folks who've left us with great reputations, and we think that we can make a case of how beneficial we are to the community and how we are an economic engine. But even with that, people want to have some sense of, okay, what does it mean for me in the very end? What am I voting for? So we're very with you on whatever we need to do to structure the language to make it more comfortable for you and also easier for us to make sure the voters know what they're voting for.
I think there have been 7 or 8 that are community college only referendums, and all of those have passed in the state.
To the best of my knowledge, there are several. The only ones that have passed without issue have been when the community thinks it has been a community college issue.
That's correct. So we've got some history in the state of Haywood County, our neighbor.
Passed one.
Absolutely.
Again, I think what comes down to, and again, we've had a lot of time and attention we've spent on this, it comes down to, are we an investment or an expense for the community? And I think we can make a good case that we're an investment. You can't go to too many places in this county where there hasn't been the person themselves or somebody that they know has gone to AB Tech. We change lives. A new health building saves lives, but we change and save lives every single day. And I think the voters should see that.
I think you're already making a good case. In terms of, I've had a couple of questions about kind of a matching, that framework. And in my, once again, first time we've rolled through this, so my understanding is that's really not part of our decision here tonight. It has to do with, a community college matching with private fundraising X amount of dollars. However, I think that would really go over well in the community if there's that kind of energy as well, of just, in addition to the campaign to pass the bond, but not the bond, but the sales tax, that there's also some efforts in kind of galvanizing the thousands of alumni to kind of, do their part around scholarships or whatever it is. And I know part of that's already being done and being done well, but I just am already kind of hearing, the public wanting to know, what's coming from that end too. So I'll just throw that out there as a idea.
We want to be accountable. We think we are. We're out there trying to raise awareness, and we're trying to raise funds, and we're trying to be as efficient as we can. I've made a promise to the commissioners, to the state legislators, and to our general citizenry. We are a college that is going to be looking at how we do business. As president, I'm in the business of higher education, which means we've got to be efficient and effective, and I take that seriously, and I take it seriously to this board as well. You will find us out there trying to do everything we can to raise money, and to raise money that would be not a drain on the county or on the state, but comes from the fact that we provide a wonderful service, whether it's a business development service or something else.
Thank you.
And I think that we can put our finance directors together to do a projection on what the sunset time would need to be based on the projects.
Okay, any other questions for Dr. Dunn before we take some comment? Thank you. Wonderful presentation. Okay, we'll take public comment. Anybody wish to be heard on this? Mr. Rice, if you'll give your name and where you're from.
Questions. I'm Jerry Rice from Canada, resident, taxpayer of Buncombe County. This is for county commissioners, AB Tech trustees, and the Buncombe County Board of Health in the state of North Carolina. These questions are. I'm alumni of AB Tech, 1967, and I'm proud of the college and what it does, but I have some broader questions for the taxpayers, and I'm one of them, been here for a long time. I have a small business, and I certainly know what that means. Here's some questions, and I'd like for them to be answered and not half-answered, because I just got half answers from the ones that Mr. Chairman wanted me to was going to be answered for last time I asked. When was the last bond referendum at AB Tech got, and what was it for, and the dollar amount? Do the county commissioners believe that we are having or been in a recession in Buncombe County? Where has the county cut spending in the last 3 years? Is Buncombe County Commissioners voting for a tax increase by allowing the AB Tech bond to go on the ballot? If the off-election year and not giving the general public the opportunity to vote, are you trying to take advantage of the taxpayers when they are run down, unemployed, losing their homes, hungry, taxed to death, and uninsured and underinsured? Do you think this one is going to be a non-binding vote? Why or why not? Is AB Tech 1/4 cent sales going to be in lieu of a tax increase or a decrease? The taxpayers of Buncombe County are going to bear the brunt of the tax for this bond if the economy turns downward, not Buncombe County biggest industry, tourism. We live here year-round. We don't just come for the week or the weekend. Why don't the Mission Hospital do the building for the nursing program, not the community college? The hospitals are in one that gets the federal money and has the expertise to train and the nurses. Number one, how many foreclosures do we have in Buncombe County? What is the unemployment rate in the state and the county right now? Is this in addition to the 7.75 sales tax that we already pay? Is the 1/4 cent going to be a sunset tax for the next 20 years? How many millions do we have in the county-owned property, and how many COP bonds and general obligation bonds have we been issued in the past 10 years? And what is the dollar amount? What's the debt service for the county, and does the county have the capacity to borrow more money in the next 2 years, and how much would you borrow? To sum it up, what is the future of the use of the campus on the Inca property? Why can't the buildings at the Inca AB Tech campus not be used to house children or adults for long-term care? What are the deed restrictions on the property and the buildings? And
all right, Mr. Rice, I'll attach these to the minutes, and I will get you answers. I think you're entitled to them. And so,
Could I finish just the last two little sentences?
finish up the next, what's your point, and then we'll go on to the next public comment.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. What are the deed restrictions on the property and the buildings, and what would it cost to clean up the site of hazardous waste to be able to house children and adults? Why can you not drill a well on this site? When was the last environmental study been done on the Inca campus, and by whom? How often is the Inca campus monitored for hazardous waste, and by whom? Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, Mr. I think he's entitled to answers to these, and if we could coordinate between Dr. Dunn and Dr. Green, get these. All good points, and we need to let him know. Any other public comment? And I would just say on the questions, Jerry, in general, if you can get them to us before, we'll get answers for you before, and then, you know, we can maybe work that into some part of the program, or you get them, better yet, to you directly if you'll get them to us beforehand. But this is public comment, and that's exactly what we're supposed to do, and thank you for yours. Mr. Yelton?
Don Yelton, and I got a call a while ago, said please go to the meeting because this is going to be brought up today. And I want to express some concerns. First and foremost, we need to consider the needs of all citizens. There are those that are underemployed, and we know that the tourist industry is very low pay. How about the elderly that's living on a fixed income? And some of them had their income lost when General Motors was put together over there and their 401ks was wiped out. They've had a reduction in income. Not only that, some of them are living on Social Security, which is about to go bankrupt. They have not received a raise in 2 years. They have also not received a reduction in their property taxes in 2 years, although the value of the property has gone down an estimated 20% minimum in Buncombe County. So here we are talking about putting another tax on them. They've also suffered an increased cost in medical care. Why is it that Mission can deliver ambulance service from Madison County cheaper than Buncombe County can deliver ambulance service for its own county? Not against education. I got enough of it myself. But I'm concerned when I see on this invoice here in this proposal that part of this problem has to do with deferred maintenance on the buildings on AB Tech. I have complained a long time about the windows in the courthouse, and finally they got replaced, Wanda. How many years and how many dollars did Buncombe County waste by not keeping up their maintenance? So I think there's some priorities screwed up here, because I think Jerry makes a very good point. Why should the citizens of Buncombe County bear the tax burden to provide the training facility for Mission Hospital when Mission Hospital is buying up a lot of land, taking it off the tax rolls, and Mission Hospital has got enough money to buy up the Hot Springs Clinic, merge with the hospital in Brevard? Y'all talk about regional. This is a regional education facility. Don't put the burden just on Buncombe County. Because, folks, Mission is sucking up everything. And furthermore, I would like to see AB Tech not spend money on promoting the chairman of the county commissioners and the mayor of the city of Asheville on TV prior to coming and begging for money. That just don't smell good, folks. And I think that was a mistake on somebody's part somewhere. Because, you know, I just heard today, and I got 26 seconds, and I'll be just perfect timing. Nathan Ramsey trained me good. I heard today North Carolina has been borrowing for its unemployment from the federal government, and guess what? They're going to have to start paying it back. So I think it's time we tighten our belt up rather than expanding their belt. And David, you and I know about that expanding belt. It's hard once it starts expanding.
Okay. Thank you. I think. No, I'm taking. Thank you, Don. Any other public comment?
Dwight.
Dwight?
Good evening. My name is Dwight Butner. I want to thank you in advance for your service to this community. We appreciate it. I think this is the first time I've ever come to talk to you. I found it very interesting that at this particular time, this particular issue is coming up in front of the commissioners, and I think it's a courageous thing to come to address in difficult times. I think it's also coming up in context, and I think it's important to recognize that with the changes in Raleigh, we are anticipating that a 1% of our sales taxes will be sunsetting, this coming summer. So the proposal from AB Tech at this particular point would reflect a 0.25% back locally on a 1% reduction in anticipated reduction in our sales tax in general. So in that sense, I'd like to endorse the idea that we will still have an overall sales tax reduction, assuming, and everything I'm hearing from the Republican friends that I have is that they are quite serious about doing that. In that context, I'd like to bring up something that has been lying, and I'm going to probably throw a little bit of a snare in this. There's been a standing proposal with the Chamber of Commerce that if this sales tax ever sunsetted, that we retain the full 1% for the citizens of Buncombe County and the various municipalities. There are plans, I believe, from Buncombe County originally to expand water lines into North Buncombe County and to provide funds for a new industrial park. That's my memory. I would personally support a sales tax referendum for a full 1% if we were using those funds as an economic stimulus for this area. I think that it is well and good to talk about lost revenues. I think it's well and good to talk about the misery that we are all facing. And trust me, I certainly understand how little money there is in the tourism industry right now. But at some point, we have to be making solid investments into our future. At some point, the best antidote to poverty is prosperity. And if we have an opportunity to retain sales tax revenues at no further burden than we incur right now, and use that to reinvest in our community, I think it's a wonderful opportunity. And that broadens the scope of this discussion quite a bit. But it is something that I wanted to share with you. Again, thank you very much for your time, your efforts, and I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dwight. And thank you for your service on the Downtown Commission as chair. Or Downtown Association, I believe, as chair. Any other public comment? Sheriff Duncan.
Good evening. I hadn't planned on commenting this evening, but sitting back there, I felt very compelled to. AB Tech has become a very vital partner with us in providing law enforcement services and training across the board, and I felt that I would be remiss if I didn't stand up and point that out. They are helping us do some cutting-edge things in leadership training, which is actually setting the bar for some other community colleges. Our leadership program that we started for the second year in a row today is actually being looked at by Guilford and being adopted to provide the training so we can provide leaders out there in the law enforcement field that can keep up with the demands that are being made. And I think also their contribution to the community goes far beyond just law enforcement. I think there's a lot of aspects in our community where AB Tech allows people who find themselves out of work and at a dead end in their life to come back, retool, and go back into the job force. So with those things being said, I'd also like to point out that this is only an opportunity to allow the citizens of the county to step up and vote if they feel, as I do, that AB Tech is an investment instead of an expense, as President Dunn said. So I felt that I needed to get up and also voice my support for this. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. Any other public comment tonight? If not, are there any other comments from the board? Is there a motion?
I make a motion that we approve this resolution.
I'll second it.
There's been a motion by Commissioner Peterson, a second by Commissioner Bailey.
May I
Any
say
other
a word or
discussion?
two?
Yes, ma'am, please do.
I think it's important, well, first of all, I think you may have found the chairman of the campaign right back there in the back. But I think it's important that the citizens realize that this is an opportunity for them. And I also think it's important that for the folks who believe in AB Tech to get out there and sell this program. It's not some, we are, as Commissioner Jones said, we are voting about to vote to allow this to be on the ballot. But the real burden with this lies with the people at AB Tech, the people who've gone through the programs at AB Tech to sell AB Tech. Beyond that, the burden for this, and it's not really a burden, but what the voters in the county have got to step up, and I'm going to get on my soapbox and say, you don't want 8, 9, or 10% of the voters who are registered in Buncombe County to make a decision for the other 90% or 89%. This needs to be a vote that everybody gets out, they learn the parameters of what they're voting on, and they vote it up or down. I personally hope they vote it up. I'm one of the ones who wants to see an AB Tech sticker on the back of every car in Buncombe County because I think that's how important that school is. But let's get the voters out to vote. Let's sell the story. Let's let them know what they're voting on, and let's have a great turnout. Don't sit back and watch things happen. Get in the middle, vote, make sure you know what you're voting on, and I'm going to vote for this proposal.
I think everybody understands it's an uphill battle. You know, tax is just not a very popular thing this day and time, particularly where I already been mentioned about where our economy is. That gets better, but I think y'all got the wherewithal to get it through. I'm going to support it. I believe that AB Tech is a flagship of community colleges in the country, and not just the state of North Carolina. And this would just enhance it and move it forward beyond hopes and dreams. We just need to get after it.
Any other comment?
Call the question.
I think everybody here is an educator. I think we've got 3 career educators. Commissioner Jones is an educator in her career, and I'd like to think I do some education. My mother was a teacher. Education is going to be the key for people to pull out of this economy. And we've got to give you the tools you need to do the job. And you're telling us you don't have them. And you're going to tell the public this in a few minutes or over the next few months. We got to do it. If we don't support education, we don't have much going for us. And we've got to make sure that, as has been said better by the other commissioners, that you remain a flagship and somewhere that people can go for hope when they're changing careers, when they're moving, doing something different. Because it's not the traditional student, as you said. And these folks don't have a voice. They don't have an advocate. And we've got to help them. And I know it's a tough time. You're going to have a tough campaign. But I think you've got the right message. And I'm going to support you tonight. I'm going to support you in the referendum. Any other comments? Question's been called. All those in favor of resolution putting this on the ballot in November, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. You'll be on the ballot in November, and by 5-0 vote. Best wishes to you.
Mr. Chairman, we will return with the language and the sunset proposal.
All right. Thank you.
Good job.
Next, we have vacancies. We have a vacancy on the URTV Board of Directors. Is there a nomination? Nope.
We don't have any names.
We don't have any names. Well,
these are just announcements.
Pull one
Just
out.
mention those and try to get some people who want to be on it.
Yeah, no.
We want you to recruit somebody,
I will
Mr.
not,
Chairman.
sir. I will not. No.
Let's
Okay.
see, we'll take.
All right, so we have vacancies on the URTV board. We have 1 vacancy on the Asheville Planning and Zoning. We have 2 vacancies on the Civic Center Commission, and those are still open for till the end of the month. And we'd love to have a lot of candidates for that so that we can get people that want to move those programs along. Announcements. The next regular meeting of this board will be February 1, 2011 at 4:30 p.m. And commission meetings can be seen on BCTV, Charter Cable Channel 2 on Tuesday and Thursday at 8 p.m., Wednesday at 3 p.m., and Saturday and Sunday at 9 a.m., or online anytime at www.buncombecounty.org. Mr. Frew, I think we deduced there is a need for a closed session after public comment tonight.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Pursuant to General Statute 143-31811A3, We have an attorney-client privilege matter regarding a potential legal matter. I don't anticipate any action other than direction from the board.
Thank you, Mr. Frew. Well, next up, we'll have public comment. General, any public comment? Mr. Rice, if you have 3 minutes, your name and where you're from.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jerry Rice. I'm still from Candler. I ain't moved since. I would like to pass this out, by the way. These discs here are from the North Carolina Institute of Medicine. This is on the co-location of adult care homes and things that I've brought up to date with you on, and this is the most current that's going to the legislators. We have the mentally ill that is impacting our homes in Buncombe County. We have, I think, 94 homes in Buncombe County, the largest number of the state in any one county. And the mental health board meetings that we attend along with Mr. Stone, we can tell you the great need out there. And this is going to the legislators. I'd like for you to be able to support these recommendations to whoever you can with the County Association of County Commissioners and your state legislators, because these recommendations are very good, and they've been well overdue. And the impact, if the sheriff could speak to it, he could tell you the impact of what these homes with the mentally ill being put into the fragileness of the people that are living there that should be there because of their health problems, not because of mental illness. The impact is substantial. And this is shown in this report. And I'll tell you, if you ever seen some of these homes that I've been in, to me, you talk about capital. I don't know what they're doing with their money, but it sure ain't being put into these buildings. So you look at the buildings and you look at the staff that are there. These staff are not trained to deal with the mentally ill, much less the other. So these recommendations that NCIOM has done, I was there for one of their conferences, and I'll tell you, they done a wonderful job. And they had plenty of input, had some very prominent people. I'm just glad I got to sit amongst them. They even included me. And, you know, we need to look further than just dollars. I know dollars takes things to do with money, but I think we need to do a big campaign about how to get people involved in some of this. Our churches around here, we've got so much ministries around here, I don't know where they're at when it comes to these homes, because that's what we need to have, is those homes and the ministry out there doing something for these people. And money don't cure everything. You got to have a heart. You got to have love. You got to have some sympathy for people. And a lot of times the community can do more than the dollars can to cure some of these problems. So that's my 2 cents. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rice. Is there any other public comment tonight? If not,
Move to go into closed session.
Second.
then a motion by Vice Chair Stanley, a second by Commissioner Bailey. Oh, got one? Yes, sir. Come up.
You made?
You made the bell. Come in.
I just had to get everything ready. I'm Ron Hughes out of Weaverville.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, Mr.
And
Hughes.
I know they're talking about the AB Tech issue and all this, but there's something I just want to bring out that really need to really think about. I mean, because I know there's been a lot of talk about the tourist industry. Well, I've worked security in the tourist industry, only at $7 an hour with a home mortgage, and also not a home but bringing up 2 kids and keeping a wife supported. That was not fun, but we managed to get through it. But the questions I got is like, how come the jobs in North Carolina does not pay wages to keep people from having to rely on the government? We was having to rely on the food stamps during the time. And also, why can't the state make these companies stop relying so much on temp service? I worked 5 years in a temp service over at Sauna Press. And I'd ask them about, when am I going to go permanent? How can I get permanent? There's each time a hiring freeze. What did I get? I got cut out. I'm no longer working. And there's I mean, it's just impossible, especially if you got a family and the company that won't make you permanent, and they keep telling you all this, and we just really need to get in there and really weigh all that issues out. You'll keep from relying so much on these temp services. And each company that come through, how do you get on here? You have to go through a temp service. There's one out there in Weaverville, another one that's Revco Scientific. I've asked them, how do you get on? You have to go through a temp service. And the temp services is making it so hard that you cannot compete in getting the jobs with them. That's all I have on that one.
Well, thank you, Mr. Hughes. That is a trend that we have seen on many levels, the temp versus full-time. Any other public comment? If not, we already have a motion by Vice Chair Stanley, a second by Commissioner Peterson, I believe, to go into closed session. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. We'll be in closed session. Thank you.
All righty.
Good job.
But now the fun starts.
That used to be unheard of. They're doing anything now just to get a day, get it so you can count a day. Educationally, does that sound? Absolutely not.
What's the like when you're superintendent and mistake?
Yeah.
Yeah, up or down.
Yeah.
Bye, Dr. Dunn.
I'm the one that had the trailer issue on the last one.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember. How you doing?
The trailer's still sitting there.
Yeah, good to see you. All right. Take care.
Yeah.
Well, when I go over there, I signed all the papers.
Take care.
Keep those cards and letters coming in.
The word transformation was used. That's one of the lists. Absolutely.